So DNI Tulsi Gabbard's recent exposure of all the COVID documents is getting people in the media and many other independent thinkers riled up. And I want to, in this video, talk about some of those connections, especially as it relates to the Q drops, among many other things. Now, in a couple of previous videos, I summarized what that research was. So go check that out if you haven't seen it already. But let's get into some video mashups and other things that I found very interesting. Now, this may be a little traumatic for many people because of all the stuff that people had to endure from that COVID, era. But let's just look at it because all of this is relevant regarding what this whole agenda is about, especially from a deep state perspective. So let's get into it.
CDC is advising all Americans now to wear a cloth mask. Why the change now? Because most of us have been walking around, going to the grocery store, not wearing the mask because that was the original recommendation.
Well, we have to make sure we don't forget that the most important thing is to keep this 6-foot physical distance from individuals.
However, you testified recently, and I'm quoting, this 6-foot rule sort of just appeared.
Staying 6 feet away from people.
This 6-foot rule
Staying 6 feet apart.
crippled businesses,
Maintaining 6 feet of distance.
allowed students to stay at home and not learn.
So important. Maintaining distance of 6 feet or more.
Do you think that a rule that sort of just appeared is substantial justification for the regulations that we saw based on that 6-foot rule?
6 feet apart.
The CDC was responsible for those kinds of guidelines, not me.
I would recommend doing what the CDC, as I think appropriately and correctly said, staying 6 feet away. The perfect solution to this is if everyone stays 6 feet separated. 6 feet away. Stay 6 feet apart. 6 feet distance. 6 foot distance. 6 feet apart. 6 feet away. 6 feet away. That's our most important tool.
It had little to do with me since I didn't make the recommendation. And I think we should just follow carefully the CDC recommendations. We must abide by public health measures. The usual 6 feet apart.
Very important. 6 foot distance. Stay 6 feet apart. A 6 foot rule.
It actually came from the CDC, not me.
But I would recommend 6 feet of distance.
The 6-foot rule, the social distancing, which you said sort of just appeared.
The 6 foot rule, it's almost irrelevant. Almost irrelevant. Almost irrelevant. It's so important. The social distancing of 6 feet. 6 feet or more. 6 feet. Stay 6 feet apart. 6 feet. 6 feet apart. The most important thing. It's almost irrelevant. The biggest thing. Almost irrelevant. The perfect solution. Almost irrelevant. If everyone at all times stay 6 feet separated, 6 feet away, 6 feet apart, at least 6 feet. The biggest thing, the most important thing, the perfect solution is the 6 foot rule. The 6 foot rule. The 6 foot rule.
There was no science behind it. There was no trial that looked at 10 versus 6 versus 3 versus not even worrying about it at all. And since there was no clinical trials going one way or the other, that's why it was accepted by the group. There was no science behind it. There was no science behind it. And that's one of the things that's, I think, such a good thing about our system here, is that we're ruled by the science. There was no science behind it.
You confess that you made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing.
I never
You just-
said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made up. You
I
made it
didn't
up
say
as you went.
I made it up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared. It is not based in science and it just appeared.
If you are in science, you've got to direct what you do, what you recommend, your policies based on scientific data and evidence. And you've got to be consistent, and you've always got to be truthful to tell people what they may not like to hear.
Did you not feel an obligation for something that just sort of appeared, not to go back to the CDC and say, let's base this on what we know?
It was a CDC decision.
And you didn't feel an obligation as the lead scientist at the NIH to challenge that?
It is not appropriate to be publicly challenging a sister organization.
As the lead scientist,
It is not appropriate to be truthful.
as the lead scientist,
It is not appropriate
To tell people what they may not like to hear.
Americans now have lost their trust in science, in lead science from government because of misinformation like this on the 6-foot distance rule.
It is not appropriate to
Be modest enough and humble enough to realize that you don't know everything at any given time.
This is not rocket science. We know exactly what we can do and what we should be doing.
About 100 inmates were released earlier today. It's part of an emergency rule.
The 6-foot rule.
Releasing some very violent criminals, including a cop killer out of Richmond.
6 feet away.
I don't have any choice in this. I've been ordered to do it.
Make it so that they're always 6 feet apart.
Christians were arrested for not social distancing.
6 feet or more.
All LA beaches are closed due to social distancing.
6 or more feet by at least 6 feet.
The NYPD has assigned hundreds of officers to enforce social distancing.
Physical distance, 6 feet or more.
Several businesses charged with not social distancing.
Seemingly innocent things like singing, speaking loudly, or breathing heavily.
Singing has been banned at all church services in California.
I'm so grateful for everything you've done for our country.
There was no science behind it.
Keeping 6 feet distance, 6 feet or more.
Police are arresting a dad in a park for throwing a ball to his daughter.
Stay 6 feet or more away.
Hold feet to the fire. Let this be the lesson that we never forget.
The most important thing is to keep this 6-foot physical distance from individuals.
And just quickly, this credit goes to ORF. But as you can see here, this is absolutely crazy, the level of oppression, censorship, everything. And again, it's bringing up memories of many of us trying to do basic things in life. And what's happened, especially those that have dissented and say, hey, where's the science behind this? How is this okay when it was top down, when it was oppressed, when it was mandated? It's a hint of what the possibilities are of overreach, of having a uniform top-down authority tell you what to do, especially the freedoms of going out, singing at a church, going to events, doing these things because of a false perception of what works and what's effective and not. That is what we live through. And because of that, Q and many others have been telling us from the very beginning what some of this stuff was about. Remember, at the time, there was re-election. There was many other things that were very critical to getting Trump and the White Hats out of control and to make sure that they continue to allow their self-preservation and the chaos among the people. So Q Post 4076 says, what would have happened if POTUS challenged the COVID-19 narrative from the beginning? Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them who benefits the most. Why are Ds solely focused on closure, retaining, and vote by mail? They do not care about your well-being. You are simply in the way. This is about regaining power, self-preservation. Every asset deployed, win by any means necessary, win or die. And this was from May 2nd of 2020. And Q Post 4247, this is May 15 of 2020, says, why did D's push everything is fine narrative early on? Example, Pelosi, Chinatown. Why did Science Board push no need to close China travel narrative early on? Why did select governors push COVID-19 positive elderly patients into nursing homes, most at risk proven, when surplus of availability in hospitals plus UNSC comfort? Why are CDC numbers conflating COVID-19 deaths with influenza, pneumonia, other? Why are influenza deaths at all-time historical low levels versus years past outside of standard deviation? Why are COVID-19 tests returning positive results on pawpaws and animals? Why are select swing states undergoing heavy quarantine extensions? Why are possible treatments, cures being prevented and attacked? Remember, many people talked about things like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. Remember, Trump was attacked by that. Testing, tracing, and isolation. This is quoting Pelosi. Q. And then here, Q Post 4937. Here says 45 out of 50 U.S. governors did not force COVID-19 infected patients into nursing homes, but 5 of them did. Cuomo, Wolf, Murphy, Gavin Newsom, and Whitmer from these 5 states: New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, California, Michigan. That is nearly 40% of all COVID-19 deaths in the United States. That's not an accident. That's premeditated murder. And again, this is Q posting this picture here. And then he says below, tonight at the debate, when they push death count versus POTUS, remember this simple fact. And the Q Post 4895. Remember the warning here on those masks. This product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide any protection against COVID-19, coronavirus, or other viruses or contaminants. So again, even on the warning of some of those masks, and Q mentions here, system of control, apply logic and common sense. And there's an interesting Q post here, 4296, where people compared the White House press staff from literally a couple days ago. This was posted May 6, 2020. Look, you realize here they don't have any masks, and literally just 2 days later, they were all wearing masks. So here it says May 6th, 2020, masks off. May 8th, 2020, masks on. Reconcile pandemic. And then here posts 4842 on October 9th, 2020, saying that the COVID survival rate was very high. Here, 99.997% for adults or young people 0 to 19, and then so on and so forth. So those from 70 years onward, 94.6%, which obviously is not as good as being younger, but that's what they were pushing here. And then when you compare, and this is the crazy part, if you compare previous year's deaths, right, total U.S. deaths from 2017 and into 2020, it wasn't that big of an anomaly. This is a 3-month assumption insert here from 2020, but look at the difference, 2.8 million right around the same years from 2017 onward. And then Q here says, why did select governors push C19 infected patients into nursing homes? Percentage of total C19 deaths attributed to nursing homes. Who is most susceptible? Same governors who push C19 infected patients into nursing homes, attempting to keep states closed. Why? Q. So again, more and more is being exposed here, but let's see what happens, especially as it relates to prosecutions, because more of this is going to be declassed and exposed. But what we need to see is some kind of justification for action, prosecution, and takedowns. Now, let's see what happens, because recently President Trump has talked a lot more about Air Force One, especially as he gets the new plane. And many people are waiting for when he gets up into Air Force One and some of that whole takedown happens. So let's see what happens. What's interesting is more and more that was deemed conspiracy is coming to light and is being proven by some of this D-class. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, if you guys want to support me, you guys know I'm listener supported, also trying to reach our monthly goal. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, if you guys want to support me, you guys know I'm listener supported. If you guys want to help me out and reach our goal for this month, all that information is down below in the givesendgo.com link. So check it out in the description. Also, I have PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.